Ice fishing isn't something we do too much of here in Missouri, but man, am I getting the bug. 2 years in a row, I've been up to Devil's Lake. I wanted to catch that 15-inch perch. That eluded me, but we had more walleye through the ice than one could ever hope for. There is nothing like ice cold walleye fillets, fresh, never frozen, straight from Devil's Lake into the oven. We didn't fry them, we baked them. I guess we're growing up and being healthier, but it was an incredible trip. I've got Aaron McQuoid, the outfitter, my friend David Ray from Indiana, and Warren, the leader of the trip from Wisconsin, joining us this week. I'm Brandon Butler.
I'm Nathan Shags McLeod, and welcome to the Drifting Outdoors podcast. Now, I'm really excited to get into this and even chat with you a little bit before we go into you recording it there on Devil's Lake. But we got to do a little housekeeping here and remind everyone that you are officially invited to Big Rock Candy Mountain for opening weekend of trout season. Brandon and I will be down there. A lot of the unpaid pro staff. Paddle Dawn is coming in from Indiana. He says, we'll see.
He might be a week late, but he says he'll be there.
It'd be very on brand for him. But also good friends Michael Collins from Misty Mountain Guiding Service. Joe Hawkins is going to be there. We'll be having dinner at the restaurant and then going into their event space and recording a podcast. All are welcome to join us and visit. I've been talking to Mark Van Patten. He's going to be on there. We'll probably talk to Roger at Big Rock, maybe someone with the Scenic Rivers Way, and then also talking to Damon Spurgeon about coming down and talking a little fishing. Him and I have been spending a lot of time on the river, and I'm just excited. I even talked to Eric Baker of Baker Banter, and he was like, I haven't been down there. I tried to avoid it. And I was like, I used to be that way, man. And now I just enjoy hanging out on the bridge and just doing some social media videos and hanging out with everyone and seeing the generations of fishermen, the families. Just, it's a giant party. Take it for what it is. Be a part of the experience. Come to Big Rock, visit with us. You can fish with us in the morning, hang out on the bridge. It's a fantastic time, and what a way just to introduce spring in Missouri. Let's put winter behind us. Let's start trout fishing again together. Let's have a great dinner at Big Rock on Saturday night, and we'll fish Sunday morning. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I feel really bad for those two boys that we met catching them lunkers because they're going to show up to their spot this year, and I'm going to be standing there.
And I doubt there'll be anything in there this time because there wasn't a flood to push those giant fish in that slough.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to compete with last year. That was pretty special.
Historic.
Another thing I'm looking forward to is breakfast at the church just up the hill. So anybody looking to have breakfast after they fish, the church up at the top of the hill does a incredible breakfast. You make a donation to the church, great fellowship. Just a really cool event. And I'm proud to say that I actually pitched the editors at Game and Fish magazine to allow me to do an article for Game and Fish, which is a national publication, on the 10 tips for the Missouri trout opener. And that'll be out online prior to trout opener. So if you want to get some tips, go to Game and Fish magazine, look for that article by me. And, I'm just really proud. We keep getting messages from people saying exactly what you just said. I always kind of thought it was too crowded. Why would you want to do that? But the more we talk about how special it is for people just to get together and celebrate fishing. Now, I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. 364 days out of the year, I don't want anybody fishing within 10 feet of me. And I'll probably even get a little annoyed at times on opening day. But then I'll remind myself, that's what we're doing. That's what we're here for. If someone crosses your line, if someone steps into your hole, it's just one day. They're there because they love to fish. You're there because you love to fish. We're celebrating something special in Missouri, and then everybody can get out of my hole after that.
It really is. I mean, I'm converted. I used to be that way. Like, not even in the slightest would I even dare go down there to that chaos. But now it's infectious, man. It's intoxicating. It's really fun just to get up early and be hanging out with everyone. And you guys go to your spots. I like to hang out on the bridge, and I talk to the guys from MDC and the state parks and whoever's there representing, and to hear the stories of the people they choose to fire off the gun instead of the horn. And it's just so much fun. You try to get down there earlier Saturday to get a lower number on your tag. And I mean, we've kept all our tags at the Polish embassy since we started doing these opening days, and it's just something I look forward to every single year. And again, take it for what it is. I'm just there to enjoy everyone, the camaraderie, the history, and just I just like getting the idea of winter behind us. I'm ready for some warmer weather, and let's do some fishing together.
Well, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but I went out and bought a couple ice fishing rods. I bought the skimmer. I already had the old like hand crank
Oh, the
auger.
auger?
I was coming back from North Dakota, ready to ice fish my pond. I had a plan. I actually reached out to our buddy, the conservation agent Zach, up in Randolph County, and said, "Hey, on the alternative methods, it does not list anything about tip ups for ice fishing. If I catch the state record alternative method yellow perch on a tip up, does that count?" And he's like, "That is not a question I've ever heard before, but it seems like it would." So he was supposed to research it for me. Adam Voigt came out over the weekend, brought his son Brooks, and I got out on the ice. And man, I drilled a hole and it was about 2 inches, and you need 4 inches to be
yeah.
safe. And it was very like spongy. So I'm like, all right, Adam, send Brooks out there. But no, we didn't do that. But yeah, so I gave up. We drilled some holes from the dock and then couldn't catch anything. But I have a plan now to catch the state record alternative method yellow perch from my lake using a tip up. But it got too warm, and I don't know. Maybe we'll see another cold snap, but probably not like the one we had. So next year, it'll just make the record a little bit bigger.
And you got to be careful. This is a good idea just to add some tips about ice fishing, because they did have to save someone at Cosmo Bethel that fell through the ice because it was too thin. We had that cold snap, and then we're getting this warming pattern, and you still think, oh, it's pretty thick, and you get out there, and it's not. Kind of, you got a lesson there too. You think it's thick enough, and you drill a hole, and suddenly you're like, ugh. But yeah, apparently he crashed through, and some joggers helped him get out, and he ended up going to the hospital because, I mean, that ice fishing can be dangerous stuff.
It really can be. And they make some picks that you need to keep with you, some safety picks. Keep those in your pocket or around your neck. And that way you can kind of pick and pull yourself up out of the hole if you go through. I mean, it's no joke, man. When I was a kid, we were playing hockey and I went through the ice and it was only a few feet deep, but I can still remember that feeling of the
That
ice
shock.
just giving away. Yeah, it's not like it just kind of happened slow. It was just like you're in a dunk tank or something, and you're under and you're scrambling to get your feet. And thankfully I could just stand up and I was okay. But just that feeling of the ice going out from underneath you, that's no joke. So everybody does need to be careful if they venture out onto the ice.
Well, luckily in South Dakota, I don't think there was any type of warming pattern while you were out there ice
Well,
fishing on Devil's Lake.
Yeah, this was North Dakota, but
Ooh,
what a day, man. Like I left my house in Missouri at 4:30 a.m. with my friend David Ray. He came over from Indiana. We drove all the way to Pierre, South Dakota to do a Retrieving Freedom Delta Waterfowl event that night. Left there at 10 p.m. to drive 5.5 hours to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. And I can do this. We'll make it through the night. Well, it was literally like ice skating in a truck the whole way there. The roads were frozen. In that, it was over 300 miles. And I don't think I saw 10 vehicles that whole way. And probably the last 50 miles, there was no road and there was nowhere to go. It was like the apocalypse had happened and you're in like central, very rural, desolate North Dakota. And I was like, I'm going off the road and we're going to die in a ditch. We're going to freeze to death. It was 0 degrees out. I made it to a gas station and some little dot on the map. And this guy was just like so surprised to see somebody come in. I bought some popcorn and a 5-hour energy. And he's like, I'm not going to charge you for your coffee. And I was like, oh man, thanks. That's really nice of you. And I walked out of the gas station, hit a nice patch. My feet go up over my head. I come down on my back. I drop my coffee. It spills everywhere. I walk back in and I was like, would it be too much to ask for 2 free cups of coffee? And he hooked me up. And David woke up at the lodge. He's like, oh man, I can't believe we're here already. I look like something out of a cartoon. Like, I can't believe we actually made it. But we got into the ice house and you'll hear in the podcast, there's a little controversy up there about the perch and the lake. It's crazy how this lake developed, and you'll hear about that in the podcast too, or the interview. This lake went from like 40,000 acres almost to 300,000 acres in the 90s from floods and rain table increase. So it was an incredibly fertile lake. So there's a lot of things going on, but that fertility's dying off. The locals are saying there's over 200 guides up there ice fishing and that they've decimated the perch population. Some people say that's impossible and not true, and it's the changing of the biology of the water. So whatever it is, like, here in Missouri, we're dealing with controversy. Everywhere you go in this country, sportsmen are dealing with controversy. Up there, they made tombstones for the perch along the highway. So when you're coming in, it's like where the perch used to be. We fished in an area where the perch aren't known to be that prolific, but we had 8 guys fishing and we never caught a perch. But the walleye is just absolutely ridiculous
You guys
how
got
good it
some
was.
tanks.
We put
Straight
the
up
good ones
tanks.
back. Well, not the good ones. We put the big ones back. Anything over 20, like once we had our most of our limits, we were putting back anything over 20. But early on, no matter what, if it was 22 or above, Aaron asked us to put it back, which from a conservation standpoint, that's what we wanted to do. Those are the producers. So we put them back, and I respect that. And we talk about that in the podcast as well. So.
But I mean, the keepers that you guys kept were there weren't a small skinny fish. They were all just straight up big tanks.
Yeah, I would say we threw back anything that was under 15 and over 20 for the most part. We caught, there's a few in those pictures that are in that 21, 22 range, but that's when we were kind of either getting to the end or just getting started. So, yeah.
That's wild.
What's crazy too about fish on the ice, man, like if you take a fish out of the water in the summer and put it in a cooler, it's dead in not long at all. They can't breathe. You take these fish out of the ice and you put them in a bucket, and 3 hours later, they're just still alive. Like their metabolism is so low. It's kind of creepy. They just live forever. You take them on the table and they're still breathing. Like it was wild. So, well, hey, before we get into the interview, I got to do a medical health PSA. So this is unbelievable. I'm feeling a little political. I was in the Capitol all day, testifying in the Veterans Commission hearing, talking about retrieving freedom and service dogs, and wonderful experience. It's quite different from the old CFM days. People are like, they're really nice to you when you're down there to talk about veterans and autistic children instead of fighting for conservation. I don't get it. But in the Capitol all day, and that made me think about some of the issues we face in this country. I don't know if any of them are more alarming, upsetting, however you want to say it, than healthcare. So many of you may remember I had a cut on my thumb. I was hanging a tree stand. There's the cut right there on my thumb. I got 6 stitches in that cut. So I wanted to just put some tape on it and call it good, but Lauren was like, no, you need to get stitches. And it was from a handheld chainsaw, so it was a little wide. Glad I went and got the stitches. But that being said, I was in there for 52 minutes. I had to go to the hospital and get the detail on everything. 52 minutes. I got a tetanus shot. I got 1 numbing shot, and I got 6 stitches. And I was with the doctor for 15 minutes of those 52. And I kind of feel like he owes me money for all the fishing stories that I told him. Now, I would like you just to take a guess at what the initial bill from the emergency room in Moberly, Missouri was. This is not like Los Angeles or Chicago. This is a very rural hospital where I walked into the emergency room. Nobody else was even waiting. I get back in the room. I sit there. They just stitched me up and I'm gone in under an hour. Initial bill to my insurance. What do you think it was?
$20K?
$10,800. Nobody's guessed any more than that. So kudos to you for at least taking a crazy shot on that. $10,000. So the game being, that's what they throw at the insurance company. The insurance comes back and says, oh, that's crazy. We'll settle for like $6,500. And then the insurance pays 80%, and I end up getting a bill for $1,400. Like, I would have put super glue in it and been done if I'd have known that. So instead of getting mad, I just drove. Well, maybe I got a little mad, but instead of showing that I was a little mad, I literally drove to the hospital and I went through 3 people until I got to the right person. It was a lady named Patsy, wonderful retired lady, now working again at the hospital. And everyone was appalled. I met with the emergency room director. And he was like, look, man, we don't make the prices. I know it's insane. We need more people to speak up about this. So Patsy went to work and met with the CFO. And now my out of pocket today was dropped from 1,400 to 300. So I'm going to take Patsy some flowers up there in Moberly, Missouri. She's my new pal. But we sat there in her office and just talked about the ridiculousness of healthcare. Like, so that being said, like, if you're going to go to the emergency room, be ready for what you're walking into. And when you get the bill, just know that they're just shooting their shot to see what they can get out of you. And if you go in polite and talk to people, you may be able to get your bill down. First and foremost, don't cut yourself with a chainsaw when you're hanging a tree stand. But second of all, like, if you can make it to your doctor or urgent care, or you got a good bottle of whiskey and some thread and a needle at home, like, I don't know what to tell you, but $10,000
for profit,
some
man.
stitches.
Everything in this country's for profit. Our
But I feel
education
like
for profit, and it sucks. Our freaking
jails are for profit, medical's for profit.
Everything's
like,
for profit, man. We're all
like,
about the dollar.
When we were kids, I feel like we could have just gone to the doctor and, you know, it'd be like $50 to get a couple stitches, or it's just insane. So be careful out there hanging your tree stands, doing whatever you do. And if you got to go to the emergency room, be ready to fight, because
Buckle
it's
up.
nuts. It's nuts. That being said, let's get into this ice fishing interview. I think you're going to enjoy it. Aaron McQuoid is just one of those very special outfitters. He's an educator. He's a Kevin Morlock, who's been on the podcast a number of times. I talk about that in the pod. You know, a Chris Nelson, one of these guys that really wants to educate you while you're fishing. And those are the guys I appreciate. If you've ever wanted to go up and chase some walleye, some perch on Devil's Lake, do some ice fishing, you got to look these guys up. And I think after you listen to this interview, you'll see why. Well, it may be below zero outside, but the walleye fishing is pretty hot at Devil's Lake. This is my second year in a row coming back, fishing with Aaron McQuoid. We're having a great time, even if all these guys are from Wisconsin. I'm Brandon Butler.
I'm Warren Johnson.
Aaron McQuoid.
I'm Dave Ray.
And David's not really from Wisconsin. He's trying to transplant up there right now, though. He's just got his cabin. So, Aaron, really excited to be back here. Ice fishing isn't a big part of my outdoor activities, but now I've bought 2 rods. I've got the clam suit. I even went to your Walmart and bought a couple tip-ups and jigs. We've got some ice down in Missouri, and I'm fired up to get home and try to catch some fish in my own little lake. I guess right off the bat, Devil's Lake. Tell me about why this destination is so special.
Well, I guess what it looked like to me was the water had risen 30 feet. So what was 40,000 acres is now 300,000. So there's a lot of backwaters. There's a lot of stuff that where people's fields or houses, and that's where we're fishing, is up and down roads, shelter belts. It's something that you don't ever see anywhere else.
Well, when did that happen, and how did that happen?
Good question. Back in 1991, annual rainfall went from 9 inches to 22.5 inches. So there's 2.5 million acres that drains to 400,000, coming from the Water Commission Board. So it's since 91 anyway, it's still at 22.5 inches.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I knew you had talked about that before, that this lake really expanded, but I didn't know it was that much. So fields that people used to farm and pheasant hunt and have homes in are now where we're fishing?
Literally 1 to 3 years later, we're fishing them. I was watching the train go across Pelican Lake. 2 years later, I'm driving my boat over the same train tracks.
Yeah, we actually cross them.
Yes.
Now, people that listen to the podcast know I'm not a big fan of water. Well, maybe they know I'm not a big fan of sharks. I don't know why. I've got a irrational phobia of getting eaten by a shark, but I'm also a little scared of the ice. When I was a kid playing hockey, I fell through the ice. Thankfully, it wasn't very deep where we were at, but I still can tell you. I mean, I feel that when I think about it, I can feel that ice giving way and going through it. Up here, we're driving trucks on the ice. People are pulling trailers out on the ice. What does it take to have ice thick enough for that kind of safety? Just to get that out of the way off the bat.
So DNR is going to be on the safe side. They are going to say 12 to 14 inches for a vehicle. And I'm going to say stay with that. Can you go less? Yes. I have driven Suburbans on 6 inches. I'm not saying to do it.
I'm glad we're not doing that today.
Yes. So we have about 28, 29 inches out there right now. You can literally drive a loaded down semi with sand on it in 22 inches
Wow,
of ice.
that's crazy. So this lake, being that it came from flooded fields and spread out so far, it's pretty shallow all the way across?
So as you go further north and west, it gets shallower as these different ponds are connected. So if you stay up in our feeder lakes, average depth 4 feet. Come down to Pelican Lake. These are all connected chain of Devil's Lake.
Right. When people talk about Devil's Lake, they're really talking about a number of connected lakes, right?
Correct. So if you think of anything as even around your own home, I mean, our water went up 30 feet, so it had to spread out 15, 16, 20 miles. So you're coming down, you get into Pelican Lake, you're about 10 feet. You get into the Minnewacan Flats, you're about 15 feet of average depth. You get around the corner out into the original Devil's Lake, you're about, 27 feet is our average depth. A lot of it's 50, 55. But as you go further east, it gets cleaner and it's deeper, and you don't have the back sloughs or the back bays. It's right from the water edge. The water goes down pretty deep right away.
So you're originally from Minnesota.
Correct.
And you came over here about the time that you've been here quite a while.
This is starting our 20th year.
So you've been over here fishing walleye and perch and everything Devil's Lake, the whole connected water has to offer. Where are we at right now on Devil's Lake as far as quality of fishing?
So we're lower than what it has been for what I have seen in the recent history, because now the water, so in 2011 was our high point. That's where the water has risen up to that point. Since then, we've dropped about 5 feet. So as that water drops, a lot of the fish go up into the shallower waters to spawn. So the weeds are determined they're here, here, and here. That's where they're going to end up spawning. Now all of a sudden that water's going down, the weeds are not in the same places. So they're having a harder time spawning, is what I've been told. I don't know. That's in their opinion.
Well, if it's gotten worse, it's still the best walleye fishing I've ever experienced, and I think that's probably why these guys come all the way over here. We're going to leave with 8 limits for the 8 men that are here. Warren, I got invited on this because of Al Hogan, the chairman of the board of Retrieving Freedom, and very thankful that there was a slot open and you guys accepted me, and I got to come back this year, and I got to bring one of my really good friends along as well. How did this trip come together? What drew you to coming to Devil's Lake to fish?
So I've, fished all the famous lakes in, northern Minnesota. And when I got invited out here for the first time, and you drive out on the lake and you're looking at that screen and you see all that structure and all that habitat underneath the water level, the rest of them are all mud puddles. It's just, changes in the day, changes in the bite. If you don't have structure or habitat, don't matter if you're hunting an animal or fishing, it's just, it's so impressive. Like coming here to McQuoid's, it's the highest level of service in any ice fishing group I've ever been with. From, like I said, I've been Lake of the Woods and Mille Lacs and Red Lake and, all those places, and just the level of service, the moving, hey, we got to go find a new bite, or don't overfish this spot. The walleye quality, there's slow days and good days, but yeah, it's all about the habitat and the service.
Yeah, Aaron, you've probably not heard me say this, but I've talked about you to other people, and I am blessed to be able to fish with a lot of guides. In fact, Shags' brother makes fun of us. He says that's the only reason we do the podcast is for the fishing trips we get. We can't catch our own fish. We have to go with the guides, which everyone knows isn't true. But I am blessed, and all guides are not created equal. There's no doubt about that. People know Kevin Morlock up in Michigan. He's one of my absolute best friends and incredible guide, fisheries biologist, and he applies that knowledge to what he's doing. I put you right up there at the top. The first time I met you, listening to you talk about the fishery, like Warren said, you guys are out moving around. You're not just sitting there hanging out and hoping that we have a good day. You're on the move, you're scouting, you really know this, and you're putting in the effort. That's why I was so excited to come back, and I really appreciate the professionalism that you guys have shown us since we've been here. It's pretty great.
Thank you. This is my 34th year of guiding. I feel I've been doing this my whole life, and yes, I've done other things, but I would much rather be a guide than construction worker or bus driver. I've done a lot of those things, but I keep coming back to this because I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, so I'm going to do this until then.
That's so funny because I'm so proud of my daughter, Bailey, who's about to graduate from the University of Missouri, and she knows exactly what she wants to do. Like,
Okay.
She's going into high wealth financial management. She's excited about it. And I said, sweetheart, I'm so proud of you because when I'm laying there dying in hospice someday, I wonder what I'm going to do with my life. Like, someday I'm going to figure out like the course that I'm on. I mean, I've gone from auto parts to pharmaceuticals to the DNR, to outdoor retail, to conservation nonprofit, to renewable energy, to service dogs. So someday I'm going to get it. Well, David, this is your first time up here. What's your take so far?
Before we even hit the lake for the first day, I was planning on coming back. On the drive between where we're staying at camp, which is great facilities, I probably saw about 150 pheasant. And what was it, like 10 minutes to where we go?
Yep.
They were all over the fields. And all I wanted to do is get home, get my German short hair, and get back out here. And so I've already talked to you about like when's a good time where I can come out and do both pheasant hunting and fishing. I'm like you. I've been to a lot of different places ice fishing and some of the big lakes and had guides. I've never seen walleye this quality. And if you want to catch quality walleye, it was really impressive. Just when you bring them out of the hole, just as healthy and thick, and it's really neat. So
Yeah,
I already sent pictures back, and I got friends asking me the name of the guide, and like my brother's going, "Can I come next time?" So. Yeah,
And that's how the business perpetuates itself, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, when we started this, it was just myself. And as I moved off of Mille Lacs Lake, Minnesota, I just learned that I don't want to have 10 guides. I don't want to be the biggest. I would just rather be the best. I would just rather be something that I can take care of. So I wanted it to be my wife and I, and that was it. Well, too many groups were more than 4 people or more than what I could handle. So I needed to find another guide. So we slowly worked our way up, and we're up to 4 guides. I think that's it. 3 plus me, and that's all I want.
Yeah, speaking of being the best, that's how Terry, guy in our group, has to be feeling right now. He's, I'm very thankful that the fish are like, this is socialism fishing, right? It all goes into the same freezer, and then we split it up. I was on the live scope today, which I actually texted my wife, and I said, put in the budget
We need one.
2 toys for this year. We each need an e-bike for hunting, and put the live scope in the budget. These are the toys that we have to have in 2026 because it is so fun yet incredibly frustrating to sit there and watch those fish come up, nose it, I mean just right on it, and then not bite. But even more frustrating is when Terry's over there yanking them out of a hole without a live scope. Then he comes over to see what's going on, and I said, man, I got to pee. Will you hold my rod for a second? And I wasn't halfway through peeing, and Terry's pulling one up. And then I went back to the hole, and I fished a little bit more. And then my toes were so cold, I had to go into the ice house, which we'll talk about the accommodations on the ice, too. This isn't my uncle dragging me out with a bucket like when I was 12.
Right.
I don't think I got the zipper down on the back of the ice house before Ryan was coming in with the next one that came out of my hole. So I don't know what my problem is with ice fishing, but thankfully we got guys like Terry that are filling the freezer, and I'm going to have fish to take home as well.
Yeah.
If I was on my own, we'd be eating candy bars for dinner. So
Well, you're going to have to figure it out, because out here it is still, you have to catch your own fish. You know, you can only have 5 fish a day and 10 fish as a possession, but there's no party state, so you do have to catch your own. So you have to pick it up
man.
tonight, man.
then I got work to do.
Yes,
'cause
you
I
do.
don't want to eat trail mix for dinner.
You know, one of the unique things is like this lake, you know, when we're catching these walleyes in shallow water, you know, I consider anything under 10 feet shallow. But if you bring up that fish and you bring up, you know, I released a huge female the other day.
Right.
You do that in a lake in 30 feet, the chance of survival of that fish is so diminished. Whereas here, you catch a fish in 10 feet, 8 feet, 6 feet. You enjoy it, take a picture, put that fish back in the water. They just take off. And I've done a lot of fishing in 30 feet, and it always bothered me you know the fish ain't going to survive, or the chance, you know. And even like a little 8-inch, you know, they got their bladder out and, you know, the airbag, and it's just, but yeah, just super healthy fish. You see the thickness of the walleyes here compared to other lakes too, you know, and yeah, that's why I keep coming.
That's why I like the conservation aspect, because if the fishing's bad and you want something to eat and you get a big walleye that you know you should release, you're tempted to keep it and take it back to camp and eat it. But when you're releasing the big ones and the smaller ones and keeping the eater size, you know, that's nice. So you don't get that at a lot of lakes. So that's one of the things I like your conservation aspect here, where if you're patient and stick with it,
I agree.
Fine.
And again, I think that goes back to the quality of guide that you are and the service that you offer, is the fact that you're going to probably have some people questioning you when they catch a 23-inch walleye, and you're like, put it back.
Yeah. Those are our business partners. If I can keep talking my guys to putting them back, they have 20,000 eggs. Let's just say 1% grow to be a catchable, harvestable fish. I can keep 200 fish each year that thing is alive. So it's not a bad deal. I throw back a lot of fish over 20, and as long as I can produce enough for everybody to eat, everybody's pretty happy in the end.
Yeah.
Along the way, they're like, "Oh, are you sure?"
Well, walk everybody through what a package includes. So a lot of people are going to listen to this, and they're going to think, maybe ice fishing is for me. We did recently have our friends on from Lake of the Woods, and we were promoting ice fishing as well. This isn't something a lot of people do in our main listenership area, which is the lower Midwest, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois. If somebody's like, you know what, I think I'm going to give this a shot.
Sure.
What do they need to bring? What should they expect? How are they going to fish?
Sure. So we do this both summer and winter, and we try to take care of everything as far as the gear. You're on your own for food. We don't have a license to do any of that. There is 2 bars here in town that you can go to, but otherwise each of the places have a full kitchen, so you can relax and do this back home and drink your own beer. It's actually kind of peaceful. But as far as all the gear, top of the line boats in the summertime, custom fish houses in the wintertime, all of the rods and electronics of today, not 30-year-old stuff. I mean, the live scope you used today was this year or last year's live scope, and every year they keep getting better and better. So now I'm showing some of these guys how I can send this beam out and see something that's 100 feet off. So you pull your fish house out to the spot, and you're like, well, there's no fish here. Turns out you drilled a couple more holes outside, and you're like, oh, they're just up here. They're up a little bit further than where they were today or yesterday. So, but anyway, we do take care of everything, and we pick you up generally in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. We head out. We enjoy the day, give you a super salad or a super sandwich at lunchtime, clean the fish, take and bring you back in. We try to do it all in under 10 hours. So it gets to be a long day, but we're more than happy to come in early if we need to.
Right, and you guys you're running tip-ups as well. We've got dead sticks, I think. Is it 4 lines?
4 lines in the winter, 2 lines in the summer. So the guide will stay with you if need be, but generally he's out looking for the next best bite. We will move these houses anywhere from 2 to 10 times a day.
Yeah.
Totally up to if the fish are moving, if they're sitting still, there's a lot of times now we will say, I am not finding nothing out looking around. This is the best spot. We're going to stick it out, because if you don't have a line in the water, you can't catch them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was one of those things when I was fishing professionally. You cannot catch a fish at 60 miles an hour. So sometimes you got to have a line in the water.
It's really remarkable to me to see how you guys move around, the technology that's involved now. Legitimately, my introduction to ice fishing was my uncle had a little wooden sled. It had some of those ice rods in it. It had the two nubs on the handle, and you unwound your line. It went down.
We were just visiting last night about all the old gear that we grew up with.
Hand
a
crank,
reel.
auger.
Whoever thought of a reel on a fishing rig?
So you just went out and you drilled holes where you caught fish in the summer, essentially, and hoped that something would come by, and bite your line. But today, I mean, you've got augers that drill a hole in 2 seconds. I mean, they're battery powered electric augers that just plow through the ice. The guy will come into the ice house and drill 6 holes in less than 6 minutes, and we're fishing. And then the ice house is actually lower down, which is pretty amazing too. So it's a trailer. I don't know, is it a hydraulic or what's going on in there? But just
It's all
lowers.
battery operated ATV winches. It's all custom built, so we can lower it right down to the ice. Insulated spray foam floor, so it floats in case you get into that bad issue. So down in Missouri, that may be a good thing. I think actually south of a certain road, you do have to have everything that floats. I don't know on that. You may have to check on that one first.
Yeah. But 2 buddy heaters going in there, like you said, a pot of soup. I suggested a coffee pot. Ryan pushed back. I think you should take some leadership here and tell him it might be worth it.
Okay.
Coleman makes those little 1 pound propane tank coffee.
Yeah.
It'd be a good little addition. So
I like it out there because, I mean, you're walking out. It was, 7 or 8 degrees this morning, windy the first day, you're cold. You get in there, and you're in a sweatshirt. And we were turning heaters down within 5 minutes.
Right.
We turned off one side, went all the way down on the other, and we were comfortable the whole time. So I really liked it. The other thing I like is you not having food, because when you travel with a bunch of dairy farmers from Wisconsin, we have been eating fresh cheese curds. We've had moose meat for dinner, walleye each night. I kind of like that camaraderie, coming back with a group, sitting around cooking our own food. It is kind of nice that you're not bringing it in. It kind of adds to the fellowship.
Sure.
So,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
and the kitchen's first class.
So Warren's the chairman of the board, correct, of Ellsworth Creamery?
That is correct.
Up in
Yep.
Wisconsin. So we have no shortage of cheese from all the Wisconsin guys. So I've tried 3 different types of cheese curds out there in the ice house. And, it's just great, man. Just really great.
One of the things, like if you're going to be on your first time ice fishing and stuff, you need to learn patience over time, because a 45-minute bite can be the most, you'll talk about it for years, when the fishing, so like the last couple of days we've been fishing early morning and later in the day, but, you're not going to be on fish all the time, but boy, a half hour, 45 minutes, you can catch a memory. It just, when the fish are biting, it's nuts. So.
Yeah, I guess I was surprised. To me, it's like, all right, the lake's covered with ice. There's some snow on top of the ice, but the fish are still like more active in the low light periods, early and late in the day. I mean, how does ice fishing work? That's where I'm at on this whole thing. Like, what are the magic windows and why?
Generally, it's that last, that sunset time is the best for the walleye. Your perch fishing, that can be an all day, generally when it's sunny. Walleyes, again, first thing in the morning is generally a smaller window, but
So light is still
still going
impacting
through.
them.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's times when you get a lot of snow and it's dark, it's a tough bite. But if you get on the right spot, they still have to eat. So we can still catch walleyes throughout the day when we're looking for them, when we're really moving. But on these live scopes, we get to see how fast they're moving around. You get to see if their top fin is up. If their fin is up, they're going to feed. If it's laid down and they're just slowly swimming through, It's after hours. The kitchen's not open. They're not eating.
Another one of those things I just learned from Aaron. Every time I come, I learn something from Aaron.
How many times have you been now?
6 years I've been coming here. Been trying to do 2 trips a year the last couple of years. So, yeah. No, I won't give up my spot.
That's awesome.
So some of these times, in the middle of the day when you're not catching a lot of fish, we can go out with those live scopes a lot of times and we can see that they're 30 feet or 60 feet this way or that way. We literally step off 60 feet. When we drill a hole, I want somebody to put their line down as soon as that auger comes out because they're looking up. And as that bait's coming down, they're going to hit it right away. Before any Vexlars, before anything else gets in that water, I want you to send it down and then take a guess at how far you are. A lot of times it's a teamwork effort. Somebody else is at the live scope saying, down a little further, down a little further. The one day we had 5 perch over 2 pounds. Walking around to the individual trees and say, nope, there's one. Oh, there's 2 big ones. Let's go over there.
Man, fishing's changed, hasn't it?
It has. It's really gone up. But now all of a sudden you're advancing towards those fish all the time. It's a whole new excitement. I've done this 34 years guiding. You take this thing away from me now, I don't know if I want to fish anymore.
Yeah.
When my battery goes out, I want to quit for the day.
Which is interesting because we were talking about it. So David's got a brood of grandchildren, 8 already and 2 on the way. Plus 3 kids who all like the outdoors as well and their spouses. So he's got a lot of people to try to make happy. And he's got a new cabin up in northern Wisconsin. And we were talking about the technology. And you're a little torn on if you want to introduce your grandkids to a live scope or not.
I am. I'm more old school. I love the live scope, but I have not used it up here. I've been using the Vexlars, which is kind of a step down. But I just up there in northern Wisconsin, we don't have there's no phone up there. You're off grid. I would hate to have them just looking at a screen the whole time. So maybe if we could have one just to find the fish, turn it off, anchor up, and then fish from there. I'd probably be open to it. But I know it's the future, but.
I got a funny story. So last year I was with Aaron, and we were under one of our good spots that I'd fished several times, and we drilled a whole bunch of holes, and he's got the live scope up, and he says, grab that big spoon and run right up there next to the shore and just drop it in the hole and yank on it like 4 times, spook the fish. I pulled out, and I'm just yanking on it. He says, harder, so I'm trying to make noise. I yanked the biggest perch I've ever caught, 4 feet from shore, and it flew through the air and landed on the ice, and we sat back and laughed. But, yeah, technology is, it's when you're trying to produce for your clients, which
I can
is
understand that.
Us as clients, you dream about your 1 trip a year, your 2 trips a year out of here, but I'm a little old school myself, but I do like to know I'm in an area where there is fish. So,
well, I'm new school, Aaron, so I'm with you, man. Like, I don't want to go drill holes with a hand crank auger and hope something swims by. I think it's fun.
But that's why we really do, as fishermen, let's not wait for DNR to tell us we have to lower our limits. Let's keep throwing some fish back. Let's not keep everything. So, we're getting better at it, and that's why we're doing a good job throwing back the over 20s. That's getting pretty easy. What is a good number? I wish I knew. I wish I knew what the population count of the lake was to know what would be a good, safe harvest for, the community of fishermen to take from there. But let's just be good to each other. Let's not have freezer waste. Take what you want. Take what you're going to eat.
Have you seen us, man? There's no freezer waste around here. Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. And we talk about that. It goes all the way back to what Grandpa said, right?
Right.
If you're not going to eat it, don't kill it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about perch. Every state right now, every sport, there's controversy. In Missouri, we're dealing with CWD. Big surprise to anybody that follows the podcast. There's the duck hunters are battling each other now over flooded corn between down Louisiana, up in Canada. Missouri's in that mix as well. There is some chatter going on about Devil's Lake out there in the cyber world as well. The perch fishing seems to be a little bit down according to what's being said online. Is that true? And what's going on?
Sure. So there's a lot of different talk on the perch. Yes, we are definitely down from the last 20 years that I was here. I can only speak from that. So prior, or right around the 20-year mark, it was unlimited. You could catch unlimited number of perch and keep them all. Since then, it's went to 100 to 80, now down to 40, 20 a day, 40 in possession. So we can't do it all by just, limits, but we are trying to take less, hoping that that's going to help. But our numbers of perch are way down. So there's something off in the water. I think there's still plenty of perch out there if we could somehow change whatever it is. Is it an ecosystem of white bass eating too many because they're up in the column of where the perch are after they have their hatch? There's only so many days that they have to have a certain amount of plankton in the water. So if it's not warm enough, they don't have enough food. They don't have tails. They don't come out like a baby. They come out and they can't swim for 14 days. And then they have to eat this, they have to eat that. There's so many things that has to happen just perfect, not have too much wind. That would blow them up on shore. So there's certain weeds, certain back bays that they need to hatch in. And if they're not hatching there and there's too much prey on those, we're going to have a bad hatch. So I would love to have, I think there's a genealogy there's a place out there in Wisconsin that does a really good job I've heard of the perch fishing, as far as taking the lake and dissecting it and seeing what it needs. I'd love to have them come out and give us a little tutorial what we're missing, because there's something that we're missing that to put this right back on track of where this was the best perch fishing lake around. This is what made me come here 25 years ago, 30 years ago, was how big the perch got. You don't see 2-pounders anywhere. We caught 8 just in my 4 guides. We've caught 8 already this year. So just in the winter. So it's one of those, the oldest on record is 9 years. Most perch are going to be 7, 8 years old before they expire, whether you catch them or not. So that's why there's a lot of eggs in the perch. There's more females than males. The good Lord has blessed us with, it goes through cycles, but right at the moment we're missing our cycles. We're just not getting our big numbers of population to come back.
Yeah, last year, we were catching a mixed bag. We were fishing a little bit different area. This year we're just catching walleye exclusively. We haven't caught a perch yet. Is that because of where we're fishing?
Correct.
And is that because, Warren, is that what you're here for, is walleye? Warren's our leader. So is it the walleye that we're chasing?
I look at it as Warren comes here looking for action. He wants to catch something and have a good time, and as most of our clients do, but quality is also a good thing too. But if I can get you into where there's some action, and right now with the perch action not being the best on our lake, there's other lakes around. There's 400 lakes in the state of North Dakota that have fish in them. Some of them have a lot better population count, and so we do our job to go find those. So there is lakes that we can go do that on, if that's what you wish.
Gotcha.
So a question, Aaron, I know we've talked in the past about when the water levels were coming up and you would flood new territory, corn stalks, and I would hear the guides talk about, the perch come up and come through a culvert and they're out in the field in 1.5 foot of water trying to spawn. I mean, do you think that had part to do with it, that the lake is actually receding now for the spawn, or?
So they were saying, so the perch has a skein that comes out where walleyes are more of a broadcast spawner. They go in creeks or rivers or shallow, rocky, gravelly areas. Well, the perch, they need weeds or brush, something to drape that skein over, and then it needs to be fertilized from there. So there's a lot of times we were finding those in April up through those culverts, up in those real shallow areas. As this water drops from time to time, some are definitely getting caught on the other side.
Okay. No, like I said, I've only been up here in ice fish. Summertime, I'm kind of busy in my profession, so I'd love to come here sometime to do some summer fishing. But I just, like I said, I've been coming here for 6 years, and I keep coming back for a reason because there's a lot of options. You know, I've been at Red Lake in the heyday of the crappie thing, which was one of the most craziest things you'll ever experience in your life. I took my wife there for the first time she ever went ice fishing, and she's like, "This normal?" Nope.
There was a big
yeah.
crappie explosion at Red Lake at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the 90s, it was
Yes.
absolutely nuts. So, and it was an imbalance, but
We definitely see an ebb and flow. I mean, turkey hunters are upset right now that there aren't as many turkeys in Missouri, but we're still killing 50,000 a year. But unquestionably, it's going back down. A lot of people say that has a lot to do with when a species kind of reestablishes itself, it goes up to a peak, and then it comes down and kind of levels off. So I wonder if that's the same with what's going on here. You know, you said this is only 20 years old. That's a
I have only been here 20 years.
Oh, you said 1991. That's how old I'm getting. 1991 seems like 20 years ago, right? So 35 years, really,
as
since
far as the rest of the
expansion,
expansion.
right?
Sure.
So that had, as Warren said, I would think I'm not a fisheries biologist, but common sense that would be so fertile.
Yes, very
for those
fertile
fish
ground.
to go into that new fertile ground. There's a huge population expansion. Now it's starting to recede. A lot of that fertility is kind of diminished off, and you're seeing it kind of just level off.
Correct.
If there was big rain, say you had a couple years of really wet weather,
which they've had out here.
right?
Oh, yeah.
How big would this lake get? I mean, it's already incredibly large.
So-
Would it get bigger?
It would get bigger. They are claiming at every 1 foot of elevation is 10,000 acres. When it would go over its boundary at 1458 elevation wise, it would be roughly 400,000. So currently we're just under. The map shows we're about 200,000. Water Commission Board says we're about 300,000. Rough numbers. I mean, give or take quite a bit with a foot of water. And then where do you consider Devil's Lake? Where you can float the boat, where the fish can swim, or because the map says it's here? So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about coming out here in the summer, or maybe even in the fall. I'm with David. I said, "You're not coming." He's like, "I'm going to come back." I was like, "Dude, I just brought you, and now you're not even mentioning bringing me." So like, you're not coming back out here without me. So, and his son lives in the Twin Cities now, and when his son was little, I was his mentor in youth hunting. David would usually take his daughter, and before I had my children, but they were babies at that point. Little Dave, we call him. He's not so little anymore, but he was my buddy back then, and now it's really cool to see that. I'm getting old enough now to where, he's got 2 kids and one on the way, so watching him now pass that on to his own children, it's like just to be a small part of his kind of coming up was cool. So I want to come back out with Dave and little Dave and do exactly what he said and hit a cast and blast, where we'd be walleye fishing, perch fishing from a boat. I want to get into northern too, because I talked to Pat Camerton last night, and he's out here right now. He's been on the podcast a few times, and they caught a bunch of northern yesterday.
Okay.
But before we get to that, coming out in the summer, the fall, like what's the prime time? What should people be looking to do on open water?
So luckily we are open 365 days a year. The lake, you can catch all the species. There's no season for them. The only season is on the spearing of the northerns, December 1st to March 15th. But other than that, you can do it whenever the weather allows you to. But as far as September, it's generally the last week of September, 1st of October for the non-resident duck opener. And then that kind of changes a little bit for whatever the DNR says. But
is duck hunting big here?
duck hunting is huge.
Oh,
Definitely
that makes
in the
sense,
flyway.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but along with that, we do have a lot of pheasants, deer. So there was times where when I first moved here 20 years ago, it was always a joke to see how many fish or how many deer you would see before you get to the lake. So like where we've been traveling, this 6 miles, 7 miles, we would see 200 deer every morning or night coming or leaving the lake. And it's like, that's just too many. So now we're lucky to see 20. So I don't know if it was a blue tongue, then we just haven't gotten back from that. But we definitely don't have as many deer as we used to have. So
Can you imagine coming out hunting ducks till about 9:30? Go back, have breakfast, Go out and hunt pheasant, or go fish till 3 or 4 o'clock, and then go hunt pheasant.
Yeah, no, this is a sportsman's paradise.
unbelievable.
It really is.
North Dakota, I think, flies under the radar. I wrote a regional roundup for Game and Fish magazine for about 5 years, covering the Midwest, and I kept a spreadsheet, so I tried to give equal love to each state.
Sure.
I would do 8 different little snippets on what to do in the Midwest in each issue, and North Dakota was always like, man, you got that there too. But I will say, and a little critical, but constructive criticism, the North Dakota Game and Fish website, they need to up their game there a little bit. That website is behind. They just don't do a really good job of promoting everything that you have out here. I've sharptail hunted. One of my favorite trips I've done. A lot of people know about my 50 and 50 by 50 quest that I'm on to hunt every state. I went out to Medora and went to the Maltese Cross Ranch, or at least where we think it is in the grasslands. Went into the national park and kind of studied the maps, and I wanted to shoot grouse where Roosevelt would have walked, and was able to get a limit of 3 sharptails off of a big chokecherry bush and my good friend Nick. So I've done some really cool stuff here in North Dakota. I lived in eastern Montana for about 4 years, Billings, and came through North Dakota quite a bit on my trips home. And yeah, I think this state, as far as a lot of different opportunities, it flies under the radar.
Part of it is we have 900,000, 1 million people in the whole state.
Is it up to that many now?
It is.
Because I thought it was closer to 500,000 or 600,000.
Well, it's been a lot of years since then.
Okay.
We have not run into a traffic jam yet.
No.
Well, I will say David and I had an event in Pierce, South Dakota on Saturday night, and we didn't get out of Pierre until about 10 o'clock at night. And we drove through the night. It was about 300 miles. David doesn't remember because he slept the whole way. And I don't think I saw 10 cars in 300 miles. I mean, it was a really bad night to drive 300 miles from central South Dakota to central North Dakota. There was about 50 miles where I couldn't see the road. It was just a matter of trying to stay in the center of the most elevated area. But I saw a bunch of those deer. They kept wanting to run right in front of me. I think they were hiding out in kind of the swales along the road to stay out of the wind. But it was pretty moonlit. We've had a full moon when we've been here, or close to a full moon at least. So it was bright outside, and man, there were just deer everywhere out in those fields. And talk about desolate country. I joked. I said it's almost like the apocalypse happened, and we're trying to get somewhere. You know? But I just think it's so beautiful.
It's the perfect population. That's why I come out here.
And that's exactly why I moved here.
Yeah, it really is.
There was very little pressure on the lake. Like when we came out here, I've been to Mille Lacs where there's thousands of shacks out on the ice and road signs and everything, mile markers and all that. And then we came out and you dropped us off in the dark. I went out a couple hours later in the light and looked around. There was nobody there. Right. And I'm like, it's amazing that I thought there'd be hundreds of people. I thought there'd be hundreds of people. That was one of the biggest surprises I had, was size of the walleyes and the lack of pressure.
You had grumpy old men in your mind, where all the ice houses, the Green Hornet.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, most of the places I ice fished before have been crowded.
Sure.
And it was really refreshing to see the lack of pressure.
That's why we come to this corner of the lake, and that's why we fish who we fish with.
So don't send everybody out here. We like it the way it is.
I'm gonna let you handle it, man. I'm gonna tell them to call you, get on your website, check you out on Facebook. Yeah, I mean that's the double-edged sword of doing what we're doing right now.
Right.
Is on one hand, I'm like, this is a favor to you because I want people to know how great of a guide you are and what a great service this is. On the other hand, I don't want a bunch of people coming here and sitting in your spot. You know what I mean?
Right. Thank you.
And I think that's the problem sometimes with guides is once you get established, like Kevin Morlock up in Michigan, he's like, I don't need this anymore. You know, he's like, it was great 15 years ago and stuff, but like I've got to the point where I'm turning clients away. But there's that next guy coming up. There's the next Aaron coming up at some point, and that guy's going to need some help getting established.
Yep. And then there's still guys that you get older generations that come. I mean, a lot of my guys have been coming for 10 to 20 years, and now they can't come anymore. They're passing away. This year I had 4 people pass away. It wasn't even from COVID.
And they're friends at this point.
Right, they are.
Yeah.
They come as a client. They leave as family.
You know, we're not on the same level as Meat Eater. I'm friends with Steve and been on the podcast myself, but going out to hunt Sika deer on the Eastern Shore this year, and people are like, those podcasts that he did, those episodes that he did too of the TV show, like it 100% changed the game for people that live there. You know, like people lost their leases because they just jacked the prices up. There was just this incredible influx. So there is some responsibility to be taken by the media in making sure that you're doing enough to help, but not too much to hurt.
Correct.
And figuring out what that balance is. Like Shags and I have seen it just on the river we no longer speak of. That's where we like to fish. That's its name now. Everyone that knows us knows what it is, but for those that don't know who we are, it's the river we no longer speak of. And we go, that's our favorite place. And when we started going there 10 years ago, pretty aggressively, you'd always be able to pull in and just pick your spot. And now on the best weekends, you're lucky if you can even get into the parking lot. And you can love something to death.
Right.
So we don't want to do that.
Yeah, you know, I got invited out here the first 2 times with a friend of mine, and, you know, he no longer came, and kind of asked for permission from him to take take the dates because, you know, it's hard. There's a waiting list here kind of in a way. So, you know, and when you are a leader of a group and you bring in new friends, you want to go someplace that you're not going to screw up. You're well represented, which I've always thanked Aaron for. So my friends that I've brought, you know, when you're the leader and you come to a bad experience, you know, and nobody's going to forget, you know. Right. So, and I don't worry about that. There's certain, you know, my hunting trips and whatever that, you know, you go to the right places with the right people. So, and it's always a good time in the fellowship. So,
Yeah, the people make the trip.
Absolutely.
I mean, the fishing's been great. I mean, not to diminish that, but the people made the trip, and
we
we've got
learned
great
that.
people.
We learned that with our gray hair.
That's right.
When we're younger, it's all about the conquest, you know. But
Right.
Yeah,
You know, we're an old group when I'm the youngest and I'm already gray. So, yeah, real quick before I forget, tell us about this lodge that we're in, man. This is an old church. It's beautiful. How did this all come to be?
My brother-in-law was here in town helping me remodel one of my houses, and he goes, "I think I have one more house in me to remodel with you." I'm like, "Okay, well, it's 11 at lunchtime. We'll go over and look at our next house." And he goes, "You already have one picked out?" I'm like, "Yep." So we came down and we looked at it, and he looked and he goes, "No, this is too big of a project." It was built in 1958, nice square roof, square corners. To me, it looked great. 2 acres, pine trees surrounding it. And I could see the vision of what I wanted right away. And he's like, "This is too big of a project. This is not what I want to do." So, okay. So my wife got involved at lunchtime. She came down and seen it. And we sat up in the choir room up here and kind of overlooked everything. And I said, well, she does a lot with scrapbooking. Anything crafty with gals, that's what they're doing. They're sewing, they're cutting perfectly good pieces of fabric across different little sections and then sewing them all back together. And I don't understand why they do it, but they do it. So
They don't understand why we look down a hole
for
in the
hours
ice trying
and
to catch
hours.
a fish.
Yep. So she loves it. So we actually made this into a 5-bedroom, 5,000 square foot, 1 step in the whole place, brand new custom cabinets. The 15-foot table to eat dinner around is remarkable. I mean, the 40 by 40 with 18-foot ceilings in the main room as your gathering room it's special. You don't get this anywhere else.
Yeah, we could have a flag football game in here if we wanted to.
it is luxury.
It's super nice, and it's one of the most unique outdoor lodges I've ever stayed in. I mean, it's really nice.
You know, big group handles it, big kitchen, plenty of bathrooms. Yeah.
Plus, we've got Jesus on our side.
There you go.
You know, we're staying in a church. Like
Yep.
he's going to bless us with a lot of fish.
As long as we have communion twice a day.
I really wanted to leave the confessionals up there in the front.
Oh man, you'd have lost some clients. So I know too many fishermen. You'd have lost some clients. Yeah, there's some people probably walking here. I'm surprised they haven't caught on fire when they come in.
So far, we've been lucky, I guess.
Well, if you do the 10 Commandments, you're going to have to cross out "Do not lie." Since
Yeah, fishermen
This
are
is
here.
fishermen, so-
That's right. Or do not covet your neighbor.
That's
Terry.
right.
Terry.
Everybody's jealous of Terry.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty. So before we wrap up, because we're getting towards the end here, perch and walleye are the main draws.
Yes.
Most people are here for those two species. But, Pat, as I said earlier, he had a heck of a trip catching northern. He said, that's what I really like to go after. He's a very accomplished fisherman. I know you two know each other. You actually did something with him the other night. He said, "Oh man, I can't even do the Pat voice. I can't do it." But all you Wisconsin guys with that accent. But he's like, "We got to go. I got to bring you back, and we got to go pike fishing." So what's that like up here?
Boy, we had some of the best pike fishing around. I mean, I've traveled the upper Midwest a lot through my professional walleye circuit, and I mean, there was days out here not fishing for pike. You would get your 20 keepers, because we fish with 4 people in our group. You'd get your 20 pike when you're fishing walleyes, along with losing all sorts of that break your line and you didn't know it. So you actually go pike fishing and you'd get 50, 60 fish in 2-3 hours. It was unbelievable. About 8 years ago, I don't know why, but in my opinion, they died. Our numbers went from an easy 20 a day down to lucky to get 3 or 4 a week.
Wow.
And I don't know where they went. Maybe I just forgot how to go fishing for them. I don't know. They're starting to come back. So, like everything in the wildlife, I mean, you get too many of something, and somehow God takes care of it, and we start over. So
Nature's purge.
Yep. So, but we have seen many 20 to 25 pound pike out here.
That's what he said. He said there's big ones.
There's big ones, and there's different parts of the lake are definitely better for big ones or numbers. There's a lot of little lakes around here we can go to and catch them.
And the pike in this lake, the meat even looks, it's a really dark,
Yes.
yellow, orangish, and it tastes different, and it's a good eating northern.
If it tastes like perch, I'm in.
It's a very unique, the first time I saw him fillet a northern, I'm like, I've never seen one that color before.
Well,
but
there
it's
was-
a
yeah, we
sweet
had
meat. I mean, it's just, and it's the habitat.
Yeah.
So
Eating the shrimp that's in the
Yeah.
water.
yeah.
Oh, those are interesting too. They come up the ice hole, and you sitting there, and there's a little shrimp swimming around.
So there's both shrimp and water bugs. So depending on which ones you're seeing. So the shrimp, a lot of times it's the beta carotene that's being handled in the fish. Some can handle it better than others. Some will be a lot darker meat than others. As they start switching over, as they get older, their meat turns more white as they're eating more fish versus the shrimp.
And then I guess I was going to ask you just about white bass. You mentioned white bass a couple of times, and they've come up while we've been out fishing. But largemouth and smallmouth too. Like, what are the white bass, largemouth, smallmouth? The fishery here? Do you have?
We do not have any largemouth or smallmouth.
Really?
We do have lots of white bass. Not a lot of people travel here for them, but I would say your average is 2 to 3 pounds. Your real big ones will go 4. A couple of years ago, we had a couple that went 5 for the state record.
Wow.
I've only seen a couple of them pulled up. They're huge.
Yeah.
You wonder how you got them through the hole.
There's a lot of them though.
Yeah.
We haven't caught any. Are they just in certain areas, or?
Literally less than 100 foot from where you're fishing.
Mm-hmm.
We should walk the live scope over there so you can see them. They literally are that close to you.
Oh wow. And they just stay away from.
They
the
seem
wall?
to stay away.
That's interesting. I'd like to go over and see them.
Yep.
Because we love fishing those with you get the white bass run.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing down in Missouri when the white bass run is on, and you can get them on top waters, and they're busting shad on the surface. Like, that's a fun thing to do, and go up the creeks for them. So, yeah, interesting. Okay, we've had 2 podcasts in the last couple of months about ice fishing, so maybe we've changed a few minds on ice fishing. David and I stopped at Cabela's in Mitchell, South Dakota, and I bought my first 2 ice rods with reels on them ever. I don't know what happened to them old ones with the nubs. They're long gone. But I've got, like I said, the suit. I've got an auger, the old-fashioned crank kind. I bought a little ice dipper. What else? And I bought some jigs.
Okay.
I've got jigs. I've got rods, I've got an auger, I've got a suit, and I've got a dipper. What else do I don't have a live scope.
You need
yet.
electronics.
Oh, I
So
want to talk about
because
Vexlars. Yes.
That and you are in Missouri, so make sure you have the little nails that you can hold
Yes.
on to, because your ice is not going to get 35 inches.
No.
If you wait for ice there 35 inches,
Won't happen.
something else is freezing over.
But I think I'll travel. I also have an office in Iowa.
Okay.
So northeast Iowa. So I've got a lot of opportunity to go up there. And I think ice fishing, I just like at this age and this stage of the game, I like getting better, or at least trying to get good at new things. So I think I've got the ice fishing bug.
Definitely try to, in the next 2 years, give us 2 more tries. Different times of the year. It's amazing. I have several groups that'll come 2 times a year. And each time they come, they're like, this is so different than the last trip. We come twice a year, and every time we come, it's so different. We don't go back to the same place. How do you keep finding so many different places? But
You have to talk Warren into switching our weeks then.
no, he just has to come one more time.
Yeah. I had to cancel my March trip because I have so many commitments. But yeah, I might change it out a little bit. And to think about, I've only been on 2% of this lake, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Well, we've said Vexlar a number of times. So Vexlar is a flasher. And prior to coming up here, I thought flashers were for my grandpa's generation or people that can't afford a nice sonar. That's not the case at all. Can you explain the purpose of a flat? I mean, just give everybody what it really is. I mean, it's the circle. You see things bounce. And I didn't know anything about these until I came up here last year.
Sure.
Walk people through that and why they're important.
So it's an individual device that's going to help you see when the fish are where they're located in the hole below you. So as this 9-degree cone goes down, there's different colors of the same spot. So you can be the same size fish. If he's on the outside, let's just go off of 3 colors, because that's all I can see, is you got the yellow, the green, and the red. Now there's different color selections, but as it's coming in, the same fish is going to be yellow when it's here, and it comes in a little closer, it's green, and then when it gets directly below your beam or right next to your lure, now it's going to turn red. So as that comes in, and all of a sudden it'll leave, and you're like, oh, the fish left. No, he didn't. He's just spinning around. So as this cone goes down, so we're only in 10, 12 foot of water, so you're looking at I'm going to suggest maybe a 24-inch circle. My geometry wasn't the best, but so this 24-inch circle. So once that fish left that 24-inch circle, you don't see him, but that's a pass. So as he comes back, and you'll see him again, and then nothing, and then again, and then nothing. You got to tell yourself, go check your bait. Make sure you got bait. So often the minnow head will fall off, or the minnow will fall off, or your line got hooked around your hook, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing correctly. That fish is telling you, hey, I'm ready to eat, but you're not giving me the right thing. So the Vexlar, what that does is it helps aid you to getting that fish to bite. So as you are, and the better you get with this Vexlar, you can determine what the fish is, if it's a walleye, if it's a northern. Well, how do you know that? Well, if it's a big solid line, and then there's a gap, and then there's another green line behind that. That's the tail wagging. As you're sitting there bringing that fish up, that fish will actually go perfectly vertical as right before he hits your lure if you're up high enough. So as you're playing that cat and mouse game, trying to get away, that fish will come up off the bottom. And I mean, there's times he'll be 5 feet, 6 feet, 10 feet off the bottom before he hits. But if you didn't know that fish was there, you wouldn't have known to raise your lure.
That's how I caught all my fish this morning.
Is getting
I
away.
would get a mark
Yep.
and then just lift and it would follow. Like you said, I changed lures probably 5 times today.
Yep.
And then once I found out what they wanted, because I would see them follow and then go back down. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, am I jigging too much? I have the wrong bait. Played around with it. And then once you dial that in, then that's when the fish happen.
It's interesting to hear that you're okay with the Vexlar, but not with the live scope.
Well, I'm a hypocrite. So, when I see the Vexlar, I looked at it the first day. It was in our house, but I was in the back, and you see all those fish. and it's just like you feel like you should be catching them all.
Right.
But it is good to know that they're there. It's kind of like a trail camera for deer. I mean,
Correct.
if you know you got big ones in there, you're going to sit in your stand longer. If you're going to be there and see it, so
I look at it
I
as a
don't know.
Vexlar. It teases you. It plays with, because you're bringing it up, you bring the lure up, and the fish will follow or whatever. But you don't really know how many are down there. I mean,
Yeah, you're
when
only
it, like-
looking at that 24-inch circle.
Yeah. But getting back
I
to
don't know,
another
I like
thing.
him.
Yeah, but get to like a big spoon, create flash, create activity. Reel that up, put a different line down, be prepared, have more than one lure ready to go. And that's how you catch them. I mean,
Right.
that's one of the first tricks I learned when I got here is big lure, little lure. They don't do the one, switch out.
Well, we've got fishing to do this afternoon. Sounds like I got more fish to catch.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
I got to try.
Yeah.
Maybe Terry and Ryan will help me. I don't know, or blow on my lure right or something. I don't know what the deal is, but
Maybe you'll have to go looking for fish with me, and I'll show you where all those white bass are and describe.
You'll
how
fall in
you-
love, and you'll just be
You
your
will.
new species of the day.
I like white bass. Don't get me wrong. I like fishing for those down south. I'm here for walleye and perch. That's I really want to catch a 15-inch perch. So now I got to come back and tell Aaron that's what I'll spend all my time. I know you can only do so much as a guide, but I want to come back and really target that. That's
Sure.
I grew up on Lake Michigan. That's what we did. Grandpa would wait for the perch run. We were out there with the bell sinker on the bottom and 2 hooks up on the line.
Yep.
Perching. That's what we call it, just going perching. And, we're nostalgic for the things that we grew up doing. And I have not yet met an all-you-can-eat perch dinner that I couldn't conquer. So that's what I want to catch, a big one, put it on the wall.
And every time, like I said, I've been coming out for about 6 years and been here several times. Every time is different. We've been pretty much in the walleye. This trip.
And who can complain about that?
Yeah.
If you're complaining about that, there's something wrong
I mean,
with
the
you.
very first time we came out here, we had tracks on the Suburban, and the snow was waist deep, but when you pulled up a fish, you had no clue. I mean, we would literally catch a northern, catch a perch, or catch a walleye in the same hole, and it hasn't been that way since, but just different every time you come, where you're catching them and when the bite is,
Yeah.
So
I mean, the fishing that we've had last year and this year, I can't imagine anybody experiencing that and not being very satisfied with what they've gotten.
when it's 40 below, it'll test you.
Those buddy heaters are nice. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, we had one turn off, or Ryan turned one off in ours because he was making soup. I guess he didn't want to catch his pants on fire, but he didn't turn it back on, and then. I guess we just weren't going to mess with somebody else's stuff. So he came in. He's like, it's cold in here. And we're like, yeah, we know. He's like, don't you guys know how to turn a heater on? We're like, well, man, it's your heater, So anyways, I guess usually we wrap it up kind of with a final thought. Aaron, first I want you to kind of give everybody your contact. Where do people find you? Facebook handle, website, phone number, whatever you want to give out.
Sure. So the phone number is obviously the best to get a hold of me, 701-351-6058.
One more time slower.
701-351-6058.
There you go.
And you can find me on the website, McQuoid Outdoors.
Spell it for people.
McQuoid. There you go. Outdoors. And that's the best too. You can always text me a little on that same phone number, but definitely, I would say call me. I will definitely help you out and get you in the right direction. I mean, even if you're going to go and do it on your own, I still have a lot of facilities here that you can rent and go do it on your own and do it that way.
What about ice? I didn't even think about that. Do you have the ice gear? Do you kind of have the semi-guided where people can rent gear and go? Or?
I don't, just because there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
You're just scratching the surface if you're just starting to buy some things now.
But bring your own stuff, rent a cabin, or get the full experience.
Yep. I would say definitely go. I have a lot of guys that own all their stuff, and they come out that one time, and they're like, you know what? We're going to continue this one as a fully guided, but I'm still going to do it on my own because I still enjoy doing it myself, but I do pick up something from you on this guided trip every year.
Oh, that's what we talk about all the time. Look, if you're going to invest in going on a long, expensive fishing trip somewhere, you're putting the friends in the van and going, or family and going, like add a day of guiding to that. Like right
Absolutely.
on the front end. I mean, if you want to like really increase your odds of success across that entire trip, why wouldn't you invest in, spending one day with the guide who's going to get you pointed in the right direction?
When I go on vacation, I always tell my wife, as long as you bring a guided fishing trip into the vacation, I'll go.
Yeah.
Because I would, it's research and development for me. I want to go and see all these other guides and how they do their operation.
Yeah. It's kind of like a cheat code on a video game. Like it's just going to give you a way better chance of success.
I mean, I'm not looking at stealing their secrets. I'm just looking at making mine better.
Right. Right.
And you can learn a lot coming here. I've learned so much from the guides in there, and
For
I mean,
sure.
just in the last 45 minutes, I've learned stuff. That, you get into the.
Well, that's why we do
Maybe
this,
the
Warren.
state of North Dakota needs to ask him what to do about Devil's Lake.
Well,
you live by experience.
Well,
you know?
hopefully they do. Hopefully they do ask you guys that are out here every day.
We did have about 6 different meetings with the governor and tourism directors this year, and we do have some trap and transfer efforts going to take place this year. Hopefully that helps. But like I said, it's not, in my opinion, that's not quite enough. There's something else, because we have perch out here. We can still go out here and catch a good size fish, just not the numbers that we used to have. We used to easily go get 80. Now you have to really work at it.
Yeah. What about people that want to fly in?
Right into Devil's Lake, 20 miles away.
Okay.
You buy gas. A lot of times they'll let you use the runway for free.
Oh, I mean, what commercial?
Oh, commercial.
Like if somebody
yes,
wanted to fly
there's-
in from St. Louis or
Yep.
something,
There's a Delta or United flies right into here two times a day.
right into Devil's Lake.
Yep.
There you go. All right. Well, David, final thought.
Well, I didn't ice fish till I was 50. And then my son moved to Minneapolis, and I've been every year since, and I will continue to do it. So it didn't even cross my radar, but it is probably my favorite trip each year fishing, just to come up and ice fish. I really enjoy it. So if people are on the fence, I'd encourage them to give it a try.
Warren?
Just love coming out to Devil's Lake, being with this, this outfit. You can bring your friends that never done it, so you kind of feel comfortable. For a person that's led a lot of hunting trips and fishing trips, and like I said, I had fun having you guys here, and you got invited back, so you'll probably get invited back again.
All right.
But if we take you to the perch hole, we got to blindfold you there and back.
Take my phone away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but it's, like I said, I like going where there's not a lot of people, but yet you're well cared for, and you can't miss at McQuoid's. So,
Thank you so
100%.
much.
Final thought?
Come on up here and go fishing. I mean, I just, it's one of those that it's not always the destination, it's the journey.
Oh, yeah.
Come on out and experience what is truly out here.
Very good.
don't forget your Ellsworth deep fried cheese curds when you
Oh,
come
man.
come and have a fish fry with cheese curds.
Yeah,
so.
you don't lose weight on a Warren trip. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Man, I spent 2 years in Don't you know, Minnesota, playing college hoops, and I went ice fishing one time. Granted, it was on a 5-gallon bucket in the middle of the lake with the wind howling, so it was a miserable but yet fun experience. But just looking at all these pictures that you were sharing with us, and then even talking to people about Ballards, about their ice fishing shacks, just, man, I would like to start getting into doing some serious ice fishing. It looks like it'd be a lot of fun.
It really is. I mean, and the game has changed too. I grew up the same way, sitting on a bucket, miserable. My uncle would drag us out there. You didn't catch nothing. You just kind of went to the area where you caught fish in the summer and hoped you catch some through the ice. But man, these guys are drilling like 20 holes an hour. You know, first of all, the ion, these electric battery powered augers that are zipping 3-foot deep holes in 2 seconds. Like I'm back here trying to drill my like 2-inch deep hole with a hand auger, and the game has just changed. And then you drill that hole, you drop the live scope in, and they're like, oh, well, there's 12 feet over there. Then you go over there and drill a hole, and then you drop down and catch one. So they got underwater cameras, these Markham cameras, where you just like see the fish swimming by, and then you're on the live scope, and then you got the Vexilar flasher, You're in, very high quality gear. It's just a totally different game. We're in an ice house, like eating soup, listening to music. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's like grumpy old men, when they have the big like ice party in the ice houses out there.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't that crowded, but that's what I could get into. I mean, that's what's fun about living in a place where winter isn't bipolar, like, and it actually like comes in and stays, and you can do winter sports instead of going like from cold to mud to cold to mud. So yeah, it's something I want to travel to do every year. But if I ever lived up north, I would be into it for like months at a time.
But then with that, you get stuck on those highways where you're afraid you're going to slide off the road and die and freeze to death.
Well,
There's some
yeah,
give and
well,
take.
yeah, a smarter guy would have planned better. I mean, it was work. I didn't have it. I guess it wasn't my fault. I had to get up there, but that was a white knuckle drive, man. That was crazy. 4-wheel drive for 300 miles.
God, I don't
So
like that. We had one. Not, I'm sure it wasn't nearly as bad, but I remember coming back from fishing with Chris Nelson in Stockton, and instead of it taking us 3 hours to get back to Columbia, it took us like 6.5, 7, because we were going 40 miles an hour on I-70 and just
yeah,
sideways snow and hate it, hate it, hate it,
yeah.
hate
But
it.
now it's 70 degrees and we're getting ready to trout fish. So
I'm ready.
here we
Let's do
go.
this. It's a good
Yeah, me
reminder.
too.
Hope to see you guys at Big Rock Candy Mountain Saturday, February 28th. It's going to be an incredible time. Come fishing with us. We'll be at Montauk Sunday morning for opening day on my favorite state park. I love it. So hope to see you guys there. Great job on the podcast, Brandon, and gear review coming up next. Into the podcast, the beginning of a gear review. Brandon, what are you reviewing for us today?
Man, I'm all about the ice armor from Clam. Look at these gloves. I never got cold at all. I got the hat, I got the ice armor hat. But this is the real deal right
Those
here.
look like
I mean,
hockey mitts.
oh, dude, this jacket, like it's so warm. It's all the pockets are right. You got everything. But then the bibs, the matching. So I look like an ice pro now. Like Pat Camerton, you got nothing on me, Pat. You got like knee pads in here. So when you're on the ice, your knees are warm. Man, like this absolutely changed the game. Having the right gear is so important no matter what you're doing. I got to meet Dave Gens, the founder of Clam, a long time ago through a glow. Looks like the cat's been laying on my ice gear. But yeah, ice armor from Clam. If you're gonna start ice fishing, you got to have the gear. Here's the logo. You can see that the ice armor. I don't know what else to say. This is like top of the line gear for a guy who goes ice fishing once a year. I'm gonna have to start going a lot more. Ice armor from Clam.
Well, for my gear review, I'm going to do another fitness one, health and wellness, because I ran into supplement superstores and they're under new management now. Ian Hutchinson had bought it, and just talking to him about my progress and where I was trying to go, and I really appreciate all their help there. I use their in-store body scan to track my progress, and I get all my supplements there, and even the creatine. I was going to just do a gear review on creatine, talking about how important it is not only for your muscles, men and women, but the studies coming out about the cognitive positive effects creatine has, like especially getting up in our age, like the upper 40s, staring down 50, like just taking creatine to keep your muscles strong and your mind sharp. Do it and go into Supplement Superstore. If you're in mid-Missouri, 2 locations in Columbia, 1 in Jeff. They're super cool, super knowledgeable. It's where I go to get all my supplements and my creatines, my pre-workouts, my proteins, all that stuff, trying to get jacked for my 30th class reunion.
And you're doing it, man. Like you're in the gym almost every day.
Every day. Yep.
Man, you got such a hard life between going to the gym, taking naps. Like it's
I don't take naps, man.
it's so
I'm in the
rough.
gym.
So rough. But I'm proud of you, dude. I wish I could go to a gym. Like I feel like Rocky Balboa and Rocky 4 out here. Like I live in Siberia in the middle of nowhere. If I want to work out, I got to go like lift logs and move piles of wood.
Yeah, time to chop some wood out there.
Chop some wood. I like that log splitter a lot. All right, man. Go Purdue. Purdue at Nebraska tonight. Boilermakers need a big win. We didn't talk college sports this time, so I don't want to get out of a podcast without doing it. So go Purdue. We'll see you down the trail.